At 6 o'clock on the evening of August 3rd, a door slams shut, and every team in Major League Baseball has to live with whatever side of it they're standing on. Some franchises will have mortgaged their future for a shot at October. Others will have torn down a roster and started over. And a handful will get it catastrophically wrong in a way they'll be explaining for years. The reigning American League champions are currently in last place in their division. A former Cy Young winner is on the block, and an all-star shortstop just became available. Stay with me, because the deadline isn't really about the players who move. It's about the decision every front office has to make first, and that decision is harder this year than usual. Let's start with what the trade deadline actually is for anyone who doesn't follow this closely. Major League Baseball sets a hard cutoff during the season, this year August 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern. After that moment, teams cannot trade players for the remainder of the season. So every front office has to answer one question before the clock runs out. Are we buying or are we selling? Buying means you believe you can win this year. So you trade away future assets, usually prospects, to acquire proven players who help you right now. Selling means you've accepted this isn't your year. So you trade your valuable players, particularly ones whose contracts are expiring, to teams that are buying, and you take back young talent for the future. It sounds simple. It absolutely is not. And here's why. The hardest position to be in is the middle. A team hovering around the playoff picture faces a genuine dilemma. Buy, and if you miss the postseason anyway, you've given away future value for nothing. Sell, and you've told your fanbase and your clubhouse that the season is over while mathematically it isn't. Front offices have lost jobs over that call. So let's look at who's facing it right now. Start with the Toronto Blue Jays, because their situation is remarkable. These are the reigning American League champions, and they are currently in last place in the American League East, 5.5 games out of the third wildcard spot. The collapse has been severe. Since late June, they've gone 9-18. And what makes it stranger is that the pitching hasn't been the problem in every outing. Dylan Cease has been delivering strong starts. But a team that reached the World Series is now staring at a decision nobody expected them to face. Do you sell off pieces from a championship roster a year later? That's an incredibly difficult thing to do, both practically and emotionally. Then there's the Miami Marlins, and their situation is genuinely interesting. Back on July 10th, reporting indicated the Marlins intended to keep their ace Sandy Alcantara and actually add to the roster, barring a total collapse. At that point, they were riding high, having gone 26-8 over a stretch that put them 10 games above 500. That's a team that had earned the right to buy. But Alcantara's name has been circulating in trade discussions going back to last season, and there's a structural reason why. He has 1 year left on his deal, a club option for 2027. He won the National League Cy Young in 2022, which means his value on the market is significant. And here's the calculation every team with a Marlins-style roster has to make. Much of their squad is under control well beyond this season. So even if they decide to sell, they don't have a long list of players to move. They'd be selling selectively from strength rather than tearing anything down. Then there's Washington, and this is the story I'd watch most closely. Reporting indicates the Nationals are willing to listen to offers on C.J. Abrams, their all-star shortstop. Now, listening to offers is not the same as shopping a player, and that distinction matters. But people briefed on the club's thinking suggested the talks would be more serious than previously. An all-star shortstop becoming genuinely available is the kind of thing that moves an entire deadline, because shortstop is a premium position, and there are always more contenders who need one than there are available. The first major deal of the summer has already happened, incidentally. Boston sent pitcher Connolly early to Washington for infielder Curtis Mead. Modest on its own, but it's the sort of move that signals a market starting to open. Now here's the part I actually find most compelling about the deadline, and it has nothing to do with any individual trade. The deadline is the one moment in a baseball season where you can see exactly what a front office believes. Teams say encouraging things all year. Everyone claims they're competing. Everyone talks about the group in the clubhouse. It's all unfalsifiable. Then the deadline arrives and the talking stops. If you trade your closer, you've told everyone the season is finished, whatever you say publicly. If you give up your best prospect for a rental starter, you've declared that this year is the year and you're willing to pay for it. Actions with real costs in public, that's rare in sports. And the consequences are long. The prospects moving in these deals will be debuting in 3 or 4 years on teams that might be contenders by then because of what happens this week. Deadline deals get judged for a decade. There's also an underrated human element that gets lost in the transaction talk. These are people whose lives change in an afternoon. A player can be in one clubhouse in the morning and on a flight to a new city that evening. Families relocate mid-season. Someone who's spent years with an organization finds out through a phone call that it's over. The reporting treats it as roster mechanics. For the people involved, it's considerably more than that. So what should you watch over the next few days? Watch Toronto because a defending champion selling would be the story of the deadline. Watch whether Miami holds or moves Alcantara because it'll tell you how they read their own season. And watch Washington on Abrams because a premium shortstop changing teams reshapes the contenders around him. And watch the teams in the middle. The one's 5 games out with a decision to make because that's where the real drama sits. 6 o'clock, August 3rd. Then everyone finds out who was right. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to Play Zone because we cover the stories that actually decide seasons. And tell me in the comments, is your team buying or selling this year? And do you agree with it? I want to hear it. See you in the next one.